Hello and welcome to the Point to Rise show. This is your host, Susanne, former international ballerina that found her passion in mindset, business, and technology, and is today the founder of Rise Media. It is my purpose to use all the experiences of my past to create a better, financially sustainable future for the performing arts industry. And that starts with every single one of us. I believe that being you is your superpower. And I am here to guide you, empower you, inspire you, and give you all the resources you need to rise above what you think you're capable of. Every week, I'll bring you 3 shows featuring guests, collaboration, and mini episodes to ensure that you have the support in your journey as a performer. I want you to know that you are not alone. Stop chasing and start creating. Your success starts now, here with you. So let's go. Hello, and welcome back to the Point to Rise podcast. I'm so grateful that you're here. Now, today, before we're starting, and boy, do I have a special treat for you, I wanted to remind you to sign up for the Rise Daily newsletter. In less than 7 minutes, you can get updates on what is happening in business and technology and how that relates to the performing arts and what kind of actions you can take today. So go to the risemedia.group website and just click the sign up here button, and then you're in. This newsletter is free, and the purpose is not only education and letting you know where we're at and where we're going, but also to build the community bigger and faster. Today's special guest is Michael Andrew Ford. So he started out on Wall Street before switching over to a corporate public relations, and he spent 17 years working in New York City. He then became an American angel intuitive who helps people meet, hear, and see angels, guides, and other loving figures, including passed over, loved ones, and pets. Michael puts back the veil for a direct experience. And just hot off the press, guess what's happened over the weekend while we're recording this? So on April the 30th, his book, Listening to Angels, jumped to number 2 on Amazon in the angel category, just behind Sonia Coquette's and ahead of Kyle Gray and Hollywood medium Tyler Henry. Now that is incredible. So congratulations. Without no further ado, grab yourself a cup of tea, water, or coffee and lean back and listen to this beautiful conversation. Michael, thank you so much for being here. This is definitely the highlight of my week. We have chitter-chattered already for like 10 minutes, and there were so many good nuggets in there. So today we're just gonna jump right in. Thank you for being here.
Susanne, always great to see you again. I get excited just hearing your name, and I am so thrilled to be on Point to Rise.
Okay, awesome. Okay, let's jump right in. Now, you are connecting with angels, with guides, with anything and everything out there that we can't really truly see with our eyes yet, but that we can tap into with our energy. I'd love to talk about the path and how you gave yourself permission to lean into this.
That's a great one. And that is something that applies to all of us. Getting to your authentic heart, your authentic power, your unlimited possibility. And then everyone has a unique life path. Yes, I took a bit of a chance. And just to back up, maybe this is ahead of its time, but people certainly seem to be doing just fine at it. You let go long enough to have your own sensory experience, and you get to see, hear, feel angels, and you get any of your answers. You get help with your decision making. If you're an athlete or performer, just a business person, and business people are some of my favorite. They're so skilled, or athletes too. You're used to being in the zone to letting go, and you get to your heart and you're able to connect to the universe in a way that's what I said was a little bit ahead of its time. Unconditional love exists. It's already in you. It's around you, and you get to meet figures that are willing to help out, but not interfere. So back to how this all kind of came about for me, lots of little mini miracles. I'm from the East Coast. I've lost 2 parents, 1970 when I was 2, Navy fighter pilot type. It was his time to go, 25 or 26. He died when he was young off of Italy. a nighttime crash, 2 of them off the carrier Roosevelt. And then in 1998, he got put into Arlington and they shut down the airports, front page of the Washington Post, but no body had been recovered. And then my mom, when I was turning 23, and it was part of my path, hundreds of people have met them. They're reconciled, if that's an okay term, and people get great advice. He's super tall, 6'1", military uniform. She's 5'4". And for the creative types, the performers out there, that was her. She was an artist, great at connecting people, just a pistol, sparkle. So backing up to the big picture again, I literally help anybody out there to see angels or to see your passed over loved ones. You got to own the angel part first, or some of those figures from the philosophy, religious, spiritual areas. If it's figures from India, Native American chiefs, they all seem to be on one big cheerleading squad. And finally, I help you meet your own cheerleading squad. If you're an actor, I guarantee you have a guardian angel, of course, but I bet you have a couple angels that are all about acting, getting you inspired, helping you drop to your heart to perform on stage or to perform on camera. And you're always going to be tapping this group, whether you know it or not. So take a load off. You don't have to actively go do something that's woo, 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 but you're going to get exactly what you need all the time. The more you can take that tiny little leap of faith. And I know that's what this show has been about, getting to performance, getting to your heart, but without the pressure, without the pitfalls, without the downside. So getting to performance is literally the journey from here to here. We can go through an entire career of world-class performance on the athletic front, stadium, gold medals, and yet fail in the arena of life. And what a lot of students, a lot of athletes, a lot of performers, a lot of business people who are totally fabulously successful. There's nothing wrong with a big bank account or successful businesses, but we forget that it's all intertwined. Everything is interconnected. If you're not operating out of your heart, practicing a little more self-love, catching your thoughts before you empower them, not all of your thoughts are legit, and also a few other things, then you're missing the exercise, the point in life. It's not a routine, live it.
Okay, beautifully said. Now, why did you make that jump?
Ooh. So I'm on the East Coast. I've moved 25 to 40 something times. I lived in Paris for a year as a student at Middlebury College. I went to Andover for 4 years, smallest kid in that school till 11th grade. I started off on Wall Street for a couple of years, but I looked so young that everybody I met face to face essentially fired me. I sold stock ideas to brokers, managers of mutual funds that would be going on CNBC later in the day. And so I had a great phone voice and could make sense, but a face to face at 24, I looked 14. So I thought about dyeing my hair gray and wearing those fake glasses, but instead I changed careers. I fell into public relations and I took to it like a duck to water. Business, mostly one world-class athlete, but I put people on the front page of the Wall Street Journal, New York Times, back when the media was totally normal, fair and balanced across the board, CNN, Fortune, Business Week, all that stuff. So at the peak in 2008 around Lehman, I set up more than 1,100 media interviews in 1 year. So I was busy all the time and I was making CEO pay, 200 plus, blah, blah, blah. But I was at $1 billion law firm. I got a layoff and I was in a third round of stealth layoffs. I'd handled the first few. I was with 72 other people with 1 hour's notice. And I think I was the only one excited because I'd already bought a home in Austin, Texas. It's when I moved to Austin from the East Coast, I was trapped in New York City forever, that stuff started to happen. I must have somehow signed up for this because I started hearing, feeling, seeing, and it's not that I hadn't heard of the idea of spirituality, intuition, being in your heart. I'm a longtime 40-year runner now. I know when you let go, you go further, you have a fun time, you can relax and breathe, you perform better. So stuff started happening and we can get into some of the details, but all of my details isn't going to help a single person out there relax about their own situation, about their own unique life path, about their own details and their own abilities. And so flash forward 12 years of doing this and a couple thousand people, some very notable people, some very notable testimonials. And I've got photographs of angels and fairies and some other like Plato. Those photos kind of get me off the hook because you have a direct experience and all your answers come in, not just the way you need to hear them, but also in any language. 5 people from Japan, they get it in Japanese, plus that regional dialect that they're used to. I can't I can't speak that way. I don't even see your questions and answers. And one more last way that I love this, that I'm almost off the hook altogether. If you and your best friend do it separately, you can then do it together. And now the onus is on you. What the heck just happened? And I just say it's a lot more love, support. You connect to the universe with no barriers. And I love talking about performance, athletes, the heart, letting go and following your unique life path, because to me, it's all intersected. It's all, how brave can you be? How much self-love, how much presence in your heart, how much parking the thinking and the clutter and the dust up here to get to here, to allow. And then I teach hitting kind of an invisible button, ask more, to bring in more energy, more creativity, more enthusiasm, more joy, more smiling for no reason whatsoever. But back to the whole thing again. Yes, I had a bunch of stuff happen and I rolled with it, which was a crazy decision.
How did that feel, rolling with it?
Look, I'm the guy who probably out of all your listeners would be the last candidate for this in one sense. And I'll get to that in 1 second. I'm on the plus side of the column. I'm enthusiastic. So once I've figured it out, I can pass it along like this. But I took 2 years, 6 months, 2 weeks to do what I see every single person in 12 years now generally do like this. I mean, once in a while, I get a person who takes a couple hours to let go. They're nervous. They're like a dog that doesn't want to go for a walk and they hold on tight. And we all do. It's a little bit like jumping, and you have to jump to like the falls down below. There's a body of water. Maybe there's some rocks you have to jump out and you're at a height that's scary for you. I have that experience in Vermont where I was holding onto the tree for an extra 15 minutes and had to be talked into letting go. And I'm exactly that type of person. So I would roll over in bed if I got woken up at 3:30 in the morning and I was supposed to go to my living room and kind of have that classic experience that's waiting for me out there to meet the other side or angels. And I grabbed a camera as a security blanket. When I did go out, my cat would trot right out there. I'd roll over and go back to bed half the time. So I delayed everything. Even if I got out there, I'd switch to MTV, of course, put the TV on to block. I'd switch to MTV and yet I'd get a song, hello, hello, hello. I just came by to say hello. If anybody remembers 8 or 9 years ago, that French DJ who put that song out with Dragonette. Anyhow, they would reach you one way or the other. I'd put on black and whites. I'd get a black and white guardian angel movie, Angela, Angel-A by Luc Besson, maybe a 2010 film in Paris. They shut down the city and filmed it. You'll recognize some actors from The Professional. What a wonderful guardian angel film, but there's a little bit of violence, lots of humor. So I had all these little experiences happen and I did the best I could to be a good American and ignore them all. And then when they eventually sunk in, I mean, I need stuff repeated to me at least 50 to 200, 1,000 times before it sinks in. I think there's plenty of regular Joes, Sarahs out there, adults that can get it on the first try, the third try. And this is a lot to grasp in one sense, but think of all the literature we've been given, all the experts, the Oprah authors, everyone points to more awareness here. And that's all the athletes and the performers and the actors and the dancers are striving for, is awareness mixed with performance, mixed with self-expression and their identity. So I'm just here as a reminder for folks that you can have your cake and eat it too. No calories, and don't spend so much energy. You don't have to work as hard. I'm not saying don't work hard. In fact, I'm just saying you have to work a little bit up here to recognize what is a waste of energy and what is proper flow that reflects love, self-love first, compassion, and then identifying your unique life path and grabbing the mane of the horse, if I said it right, the back of the horse, the neck, holding on tight while you ride that horse at a huge gallop in your life and never look back. Don't look to the sides. I'm getting goosebumps on that one. And the only reason why I even know that metaphor is I was talking to a neighbor today on the walk with my dogs. And that's what she got from Geronimo directly, was her metaphor. She was worried about thinking too much and wanting to learn how to meditate and all the rest. And it was just the most beautiful, beautiful metaphor. It resonated with me. And I'm passing that along to the listener and you.
Wow. Goosebumps again. Okay, so one thing that stands out for me is when I hear you speak, and every time that we connect, you remind me of more self-love. My question to you is, what, and because I'm bringing this up because the media has put self-love into such a big bucket and everybody's talking about self-love and what it looks like to them. But I'm interested to know what that means to you and from your perspective.
Sure. So it's not about words. It's not about thinking. It's not about organizations. It's not about any one way. There's a million ways to resist. There's a million ways not to do it. There's only one way to let go and appreciate, allow. There's a few more A's in there, but it's presence. It's your authentic presence. There's another A. So let me do it this way. I got this morning and I'm going to read something. It's like 2 sentences, but it can be awfully hard to follow your heart. After all, reason speaks against it. And there's a million reasons not to. Think of it. You have to follow this path, this coach, this instructor, this organization says this way. You're a square trying to fit into a triangle or whatever. And it may serve you to do it for a little bit of time so you can recognize what you don't want and what you want, but always follow your heart and follow what you want. Follow your dreams. Never stop chasing those. And I'll get back to the ocean and the rock analogy if you'll remind me later about that, because as long as you stand on your rock and no matter how many waves knock you off, you get back on, you can stay the course, ride the horse. There's only one way to let go. And as for that exercise, I don't think everyone out there, but it's you, it's me, and it's everyone. We're already gold medal Olympians when it comes to letting go. And everyone's stopping right now and saying, wait, what are you talking about? I don't see angels. I'm not getting all my answers. I'm not totally happy with where I'm at career-wise or presence-wise, or I'm beating myself up. I'm getting judged. I'm judging others. I'm reacting to others. I mean, that's all waste of energy, and congratulations. We're all human. It's the duality, the contrast. We're still going to do more of that. Even if you got this today, got a phone call and the perfect performance lined up, aligned with what you wanted, we're still going to think and block and do some non-self-love. But so we're already gold medal Olympians. We just have all momentarily forgotten this. That's all. And I'm going to argue that the letting go we're talking about is nothing drastic. It's the falling asleep at night level of difficulty, the light switch, the petting your dog. But let's go to the classic example in a family anywhere in America, Canada, abroad. There's an iPhone. There's technology, there's work, you can't leave it behind. You come home, you've driven in the driveway, the kids, the dog, somebody's waiting for you. You are on the iPhone first, dogs, kids come second. You don't remember what it's all about. You can't drop everything and say, oh my God, Fluffy the cat, Benji the dog, my husband, my sister, my whoever, I appreciate you, I love you. You might even forget to just give yourself a break. Go for exercise first before you touch that couch, or you start answering emails when you got home, because self-care is 2/3 of self-love.
Wow. Okay. I'm stumped. I have to admit that doesn't really often happen. Okay. So you came to me in a time that I could not think what else I needed. And that's how you showed up, through social media for sure. And you opened me up twice now in such beautiful ways that all of a sudden things are starting to fall into place, because you consistently remind me that letting go is the path, where society really tells us it's actually not. It labels letting go as sometimes lazy, particularly in the performing arts world. You know, do more, hustle more, do one more class, hone in on your skills. And you did touch on it, but why have we built up so much resistance to letting go? Why does it feel so hard? Why is it like a dog that doesn't want to go on a walk?
You reminded me of all the car commercials, and there's the brand name that comes up, because I love car commercials, and there's some other industry or brand sort of awareness commercials out there. I don't know if it's alcohol, but there's some beer commercials. If you take out the name Michelob or you take out Mercedes and put in your heart or your unique life path, some of those commercials are the most spot on spirituality, follow your path, follow your heart sort of things. And they're meant to get you to identify with the product, not your own heart. And I think that's the metaphor for answering what you just said. There's a lot of ego, there's a lot of thinking, there's a lot of resistance. Think of it as unconsciousness. That'll make it easier for all of us. If there's a global bunch of blankets, a trillion layers of energy, because we're all balls of energy and everything's changing all the time. And our ego, our reacting, our judging, our knowing our reality the way we know it. My problem is I'm only a third level actor, dancer, performer, business person. I want to be in the A class, or I want to be over here. You think you have lack. You don't realize how it works for letting go. So you're using words, you're using a magnifying glass, you're using reacting, judging, you're using unconsciousness as a filter that will never get you anywhere. It'll only leave you more unhappy and more underserved in terms of your health, your personal career path, your personal opening, and so on. And that is addressed by a gajillion self-help experts, those business experts that tell you how to make more sales or be a better person. They're all pointing the same way. And so there's something called awareness that all the Oprah authors, Deepak Chopra, whether they know it or not, are preaching, pointing to, and it's your heart. And for whatever reason, humans like to make it hard. We do a lot of thinking, judging, words, knowing. Think about the types of knowing. Very few people go around with Korean Zen and don't know mind. Is that so? And then they let it go. They just won a gold medal. 2 seconds later, it's done, move on. You finish the race, the marathon. I had a runner in Rhode Island who would constantly be like, yeah, celebrate for one day. You got a medal, you're top 10. And now forget about it and move on. And now I look back fondly on that. I don't know if he knew he was being a Zen master about it. But so there's something called awareness in the heart. And the awareness is compassion, it's love, it's self-love. It's all the good, touchy-feely moments you've ever had in life, the birthday party, hugging a dog, going down a water slide. You know, as a kid, you were there. You never lost it. A lot of trauma, a lot of hard times, a lot of injuries, a lot of difficulties will pull you from that. And the job of ego to handle everything is to just slap concrete patches or create structure that gets you out of your heart. But it kind of is a fly-by-night operation. It allows you to sort of cope in not the most efficient way. And so what I'm talking about again is the awareness, your heart. That's where everything's at. You can get back to it in an instant. I mean, I just had another person who is an actress for a long, long, long time. And she signed off on a note just saying she needed to process the stuff. And I hear that all the time. You could process something for the next 30 years and never get there. And if you can smile, shrug, let go, breathe, move on, whatever way I need to say it, that is one of the greatest skills, especially a performer actor. They're going to get rejected all the time. They're going to get dejected. They're going to get hurt and have to bounce back. And what better way than to learn like a Jedi? So you can be Luke Skywalker, you know, Jedi Shakti or Obi-Wan Kenobi, and learn how to use the Force a little bit. Let's just give it a fun name. It's the flow, the creative flow we all know that we tap into to write a song, to perform a song. It's how do you explain 4 band members together that with a look, the crowd loves you, but you were finishing the song, the lead person gives a look and everybody understands, keep going. Let's just jam and finish this 5 minutes later instead of right now. And if you could just see their energy flowing between them, like ballerinas in perfect harmony on stage who like each other, who like their director, the choreographer, it's a nice production. Good luck with that. You could see the harmony floating between them all, plus to the audience, and everything's energy rainbow light. That's something I help people start to see, not just on their hands, but on their dog, the flows between people. And I think that's where humans are headed maybe 40 years from now. Kids will get it fast, but a full-fledged, 70, 80-year-olds who are light at heart can do it. Everything is consciousness. Everything is also unconsciousness. Where are you going to put your focus? And where you put your focus is where you put your focus. That's one of those safe things I can say that you really can't argue with. So learning the difference between awareness, and remember, positivity itself is abundance. Money, there's nothing wrong with it. It's energy. It's a reflection, though, more like a wake on a yacht or a powerboat. It's a wake. So try to view it as the more in your heart, the more you're following your path, the more you're charging forward on that horse, the more all those things that are, quote, important to you, but a little external, come flowing in. And learning how to ask the universe, manifest if you want. That's a really popular thing today. I would say learning how to get out of your own way. And this is hard. It's hard for athletes. It's hard for dancers, performers, actors, because there's a lot of pressure. And you get into certain routines that work in the short term, but aren't going to serve you long term. I think Peaceful Warrior, the gymnastics movie, Nick Nolte's, one of the main characters in it, Scott Meklowitz, Amy Smart, beautiful film, beautiful production. But there's a couple moments with the gymnasts at the beginning of the whole thing. Dan Millman's talking about, well, if he doesn't win the gold, he's worthless. And by the end of the movie, he's figured out that he needs to be in his heart to perform, let go. Everything will take care of itself. He needs to trust the path. But the gymnast next to him that he had been having fights with turns and says the same stuff that Dan had been stuck with at the beginning of the movie. So you get a reflection of Dan, the old Dan next to him, talking to Dan in the same way. If I don't win the gold, my dad's going to kill me. I'm doing this for someone else. I'm not doing it for me. And so I don't know if people realize, but anyone talking to you, anything you see on TV, you can pick up on their vibe. You can pick up on where they're at. They leave a breadcrumb trail for you of energy that reveals their consciousness, middle consciousness, or full unconsciousness, middle consciousness, or consciousness, where they're at on the curve. If you can avoid judging, people can flood from consciousness to unconsciousness. I could be a jerk tomorrow to the garbage men, or totally nice and run out and say, thank you for picking up my garbage. We're human, we're gonna ebb and flow. It's the casino in Casablanca. Welcome to, I'm shocked there's gambling going on in this casino. I love that movie. So there's something about being up here that doesn't do a lot. We're gonna spend a lot of time up there. And I'll just mention one thing I've learned in this entire time, but it's everything that I've said so far as angels. So I'd love to say I've got some insight, but I'm just regurgitating what I've learned over time. And one angel put it succinctly, 7% less thinking a week is the Olympic gold medal standard here we're talking about for letting go to achieve full performance. So I know anyone hearing this, you've done 80, 100, 200 hours a week of training or this or that, or working at an office and so on. And I think in that movie, Peaceful Warrior, the gas station attendant, Nick Nolte, says, why so much? And I'm thought about that on the run today. It's where, when you're in your heart, you're in the flow. The more you let go, the more you flow, just less energy becomes more. So more impact. And so this is about learning not to waste energy, which is what most of thinking is. Anytime thinking drops to your heart, guess what? You're one with the soccer ball. It's, I love football or soccer from Ted Lasso, that one player who is the brightest, happiest, highest vibe guy. And that's what I'm also talking about. This came in on the run. If I'm going to go on a slight tangent, but hang out with high vibe people and see what happens. Hang out with high vibe music, hang out with high vibe colors, change the smells in your house, the cooking, the fresh cut flowers, change everything around you if you don't think you're capable, or you're doing the same routine all the time. You're with a particular company, and I'm talking more performing arts. You still need a little extra oomph. Start shifting things around and watch what happens and how you might lay off the accelerator, drop to your heart, and you'll get a better performance out of the sports car than you would through knocking your head against a brick wall. Freedom happens when those walls are removed, and the walls are created brick by brick with your thinking or structure from others. The true creative flow knows no bounds. You have unlimited possibility. The only other thing I learned from angels, really, and this is in the epilogue of that Little Listening to Angels book by an angel named Dale, who coached a multi-gold gymnast that everybody knows. I'll leave it out, not to beat other people, just to follow her unique life path. His little epilogue, I think I put it on my website, social media for free. It's eloquent. If you think I wrote the book, thank you. I'm totally flattered because there's no way I could have. I saw balls of light as I typed. But so there's Dale, who coached this gymnast, and many others. He puts life into an undergraduate, graduate degree metaphor. You got to have one before you have the other. The undergraduate degree is just acknowledging, recognizing, learning that there's a difference when you're up here and here. Unconsciousness, consciousness, and you call it whatever you will. Conditional thinking, conditional love, which doesn't get you anywhere, causes a lot of harm. Self-love, nope, not at all. You're not appreciating your dog. You're not appreciating where you're at. You're not appreciating everything that you have. You think you're not somewhere. You're that runner who's not at the next level or not getting sponsored the way you want. And then there's being in your heart. Once you get that down, the universe, and this is like The Alchemist. If anyone's read that Paulo Coelho book, it's so beautiful. That's a short one. Dan Millman, maybe Don Miguel Ruiz, 4 Agreements. The universe is ready to kick it into gear the second you say, I need some assistance. Just help open me up. So you can be the best performer in the world on stage, out on the track, javelin, anything. But I'll be honest, there's more, and you could perform even better if you would learn your own authentic self, your identity. They talk about discovering you. You have a unique life path is what I was getting at with the graduate degree, and I'm definitely on a roll. Yay. The graduate degree is your own unique life path. And then getting with the gig here, starting to live it, because life is not a routine. And that's all we tend to learn is it's details. It's this is going to get you there. And anyone can try to tell you what this is. And there's a million thises. And some of them will work. They'll work for a little while, but you have to own your own heart. You have to be willing to take that chance. Back to the beginning of this whole thing. What does self-love look like? Holy cow, is that scary? Because the second you had any trauma your way, you've had a bump in the road, someone's done harm, physical violence to you, anything else, you start to identify with certain ways, pockets, pools. Pools, if it's a river, we'll call them eddies. And eddies tend to go in circles. Does the near-death experience crowd out there, and I'm not judging here, and I always mention them, and Buddhists, they're fantastic. They're people who are at the front end of research, and they've had direct experience. They don't have to have a little bit of faith on the leap from here to here. But even the near-death experience crowd, anybody who wants to step up can have a near-death experience without having to have a near-death. And if you're in the Buddhist circle, I just helped a Buddhist chaplain in Prague who's fantastic. The most beautiful video testimonial on my website. Anybody who's mean to me, I go to that video and play it. He has such presence. Thank you, Mark Shimada. Sweetheart. But think of it. You don't have to be Buddhist to meet Buddha. You don't have to do any particular rituals to meet Buddha. You can hear him, get a hug. Hugs are the most important. You can get healing for those dancers out there who are beating themselves up or want to get back to performing pretty quick in a proper way. You can ask and receive, but first you have to allow, and I'm not coming from any organizational, religious, philosophical, spiritual perspective. I'm talking only more love or less love. And I went on forever.
Wow. You can ask and receive, and first you must allow. And I think it's in the allowing part where most humans struggle with, right? Okay, let me go back, because you had such a beautiful section in there where you were talking about performing artists actually dropping in and trusting that the letting go is actually the path. And by letting go, we're creating that next level of energy that I believe is so needed, particularly in this climate, world climate that we're in, to be fascinating again. What would you recommend to these people that are structured or being that square that needs to fit in a triangle to drop in without judgment?
Sure. I'll answer it this way, and I have a very specific exercise. You can put your hand out and feel your own heart energy if you just let go. But let me explain for a second. I mean, I've had every bit of difficulty letting go, whether you think it's sensory, your body, listening, because it's really your heart already knows how to do everything. And I think a lot of athletes know that at a certain level because they're skilled. They've got some ability. And golfers know it when they think too much, they shank the ball. Perfect self-love, how's this? Gets you the hole in one, you let go. You might need a little universal help, ask. And what I was trying to say about the alchemist was there's universal forces in place to help do the rest of everything. You set stuff in motion with where you put your focus. Now you're going to put your focus on a lot of unconscious stuff for a long time. And you're going to get more of that. And that's never going to make you happy. But back to a few exercises people can do. A smile, a laugh, a breath, and they always talk about that in the Zen Buddhist circles. I mean, why wait for your doctor's appointment, the stethoscope, and the once a year thing for your physical? Practice a few breaths, but watch your ego, watch your resistance. It's there to convince you that the first breath was enough and you never even took it. 10 minutes later, you're doing something else because you got distracted and you never actually took the deep breath. Taking a deep breath means you have to get comfortable with what? You, your heart, everything around you the way it is right now. Keep letting go. It doesn't matter what the details are, just let go. And that letting go is incredible because you go through self-discovery so freaking fast. You could get it done in a day if you wanted to. You're already operating in a certain wavelength that your thinking will never acknowledge. Your unconscious side kind of rules the roost, but it won't have a hold on you once you kind of pop out and go, oh my gosh, now I kind of get what he's talking about. Now, you could be a world-class athlete, world-class dancer, and you're living it, but you're not giving yourself credit on all the other fronts because you've had a series of relationships and a couple of them were really bad and abusive, or you've had a series of coaches, instructors, or situations or programs where you practically got pneumonia, you were overworked and you didn't do self-care. or other things in life, turbulent ocean waters for your sailboat. You get jumped around. So I'm here as a reminder, and I'm trying to point to this, that at any point in your life where you've had smooth sailing, things seemed easy, that summertime feel, or performing on stage or performing in some way was super just easy flow, harmonious. You were the most creative you've ever been. It's actually never gone away, because think about the slumps for a baseball player. They play great for a while. Maybe they struggle for a while, then they quote, make it. And this happens in tennis. The #1 tennis player goes through some of the worst psychological pressure. And we've heard about this. They could be there for 5 years, 10 years, and then they've got to live with it afterwards. And it's really hard for them to come back. So there's something about getting to know your own heart, getting to know you. It's the person who can own it more here, presence, understand a little bit more about life, the universe, how it works, that they sparkle. They're connected, if it's okay to say it this way, to more there. You can see your soul, if that's important to anybody out there. You can see like northern lights, but you're connected to everything, and you're parking it a little. Your disbelief or your worry, your fear, your stress, it's just totally unnecessary. Good luck telling anybody that who's stuck in traffic in LA. Most of us are going to naturally react and be upset. A couple people will see a hawk fly by while completely motionless in traffic and say, wow, what a National Geographic moment. And that's kind of what I'm talking about, is everything's your opportunity. Everything's your opportunity to let go more and trust, or you don't have to have trust or faith, and faith is religious or non-religious. It's letting go, and letting go is letting go. But you can also have experience, and you've got that experience. I don't care if you aren't athletic or a dancer or a performer or a business person. If you flip the light switch on the wall, fallen asleep at night, taken an amazing hot shower, and maybe sung a little bit, you don't have to sing in the shower, but anything you've ever done that's you, being you, a little jig in the shower, chubby checker, Elvis Presley, a little shoulder shake just for the heck of it, sing your favorite song, play a little music, keep it away from the tub, have fun. Exactly. We don't want to get sued here, but have fun, let go, see your own sparkle, own it. If you want more love, be more love. It's that simple, especially if you're looking for that special other, but it's practice, practice, practice. And anyone has said this all over the place. Like sometimes they say it takes 10,000 or 2,000 tries to get an exercise, and ownership of a skill down, just using a screwdriver on a screw, but that's probably not a good example. Mowing the lawn, I think we can get that pretty quick, but we don't want to do it. So practice, practice, practice until it no longer is stuck up here or an issue. It falls straight into your heart, and you do it without a second thought. That's all that athletes do and dancers do. They're learning routines, moves, certain things, strengthening. Why wouldn't you apply that to every other quadrant in your life and actually achieve happiness without happiness? Or just being, which is already existing in you. To be or not to be, Shakespeare. Eckhart Tolle. We don't have to pick philosophical, Plato talks about Plato's cave. It's just being stuck up here with thoughts. And it talks about the prisoner who does escape, gets outside. They're all chained to a wall. They just see shadows on the wall. Maybe a horse is going by in the cave. They're shackled. They can only look one way. There's a fire behind them. The horse casts a shadow on the wall, and they think that's reality. And that's what we all think with the life stories we tell others and tell ourselves to keep us occupied up here, like the car commercial. It's Mercedes. But the real car commercial is us, and it's getting out of the cave. And Plato's so funny. You can meet him, no hugs for him. They're sweaty, get a fist pump, tap on the shoulder. You get out of the cave and you realize there's sunshine, and you have a natural instinct to go back in and try to help the other prisoners. Well, they club you to death if you try to tell them their reality is not their reality. So everyone's good where they are. Let's do that, which is an incredible contradictory concept to everything that's been said. And you're good where you are right now, no matter what is going on. Because if you can start trusting us, we're back to that. If you want more love, be more love. Martin Luther King. And we're talking about all those social organizations that are declaring change, rebellion, forcing thinking and values onto other people, telling them, hey, control's okay. You don't have to be you. We'll tell you how to be. If you want more love, just be more love. Practice and get comfortable nesting in your own heart. It might take 10,000 tries. And guess what? The bird knows what to do. You're going to drop a nest in your heart, and you're going to start clucking more than you've ever clucked before. We're doing a crazy analogy here, but watch what happens after that. You get to take flight somewhere and come right back to the nest, but the flight is better performances, work, twice the revenue, 10 times the revenue. Your dreams start getting fulfilled. You learn you can flicker your attention on anything, and it comes your way because you're trusting that there's greater stuff in the universe, in and around you. The fabric of the universe is love. And you're trusting your own heart to intersect with all that and just start playing like a ballerina in the performance of life in the universe, rather than a concocted, forced consciousness and unconsciousness, which, I mean, you've got to have performances, you've got to have performing arts, but I'm talking the entire enchilada, so you can be grace, ease, and joy from the beginning, during the struggle, when you've achieved something, and then you can start to choose a little more, hear about your unique life path, follow it, and then as you transition to teaching or transition to another, go business, go turn around and help the whole industry with how they do fundraising and their future visions, and how, yes, reshape everything to help everyone and go big. So all I'm saying is you can have your cake, eat it too. There's so much more around you. It's called love. Call it what you will. Grace, ease, joy. You know, you have life stages too, so you can learn about that. You can appreciate things more. You can understand why something came your way. Usually it's to help slow you down, slow your roll. You got too caught up in one direction. But there's always a wind around you. You have to be willing to feel it. And when you do, and we talked about this before the show, right, will you unfurl your sail and take advantage of the wind? You know, I think in Buddhism, Tibetan Buddhism, and I think this is Chogyam Trungpa, who's passed away, he talked about wind horse. There's a certain brilliance going on all the time. You'll touch it. You'll maybe misidentify what it's about for you and how to hold on to it and how to incorporate it as part of your own self-love. And so you can get very confused with success and end up getting burned by success rather than appreciating where the success is really coming from. Again, we're back to the idea of the yacht, and that the wake, when you look back, is tons of money or tons of acknowledgement or tons of accolades, medals, performances listed on your career. But there's something that it's really all about. And that's what, you know, Soul Surfer, the movie, talks about when she loses her arm to the shark. She's caught up for half the movie thinking she's done. What do I do with my life? I can't even do a contest. At some point she recognizes, oh, I'm fine. And she gets out of the water and tells Helen Hunt or Holly Hunt, whoever the actress is that plays her mom, hey mom, I'm totally good now. What do I do? And the mom's great. She's just like, make sure your heart's filled with love and do whatever you want. You're going to rock it. Essentially, you got to see the movie. But you can't fault Bethany Hamilton for going through some turbulent times. And it's the ebb and flow, it's the turbulence, it's what gives us the stuff of character. It's what gives us a chance to go up the mountain and to get past the valleys, or the, you know, you got to live down below in the town where you pay your bills, pay your dues, everything else. But once in a while you can break free of unconsciousness down below and get up to the mountain, but you can't really live up there. The air is too thin. The views are beautiful. Take it in. And it's just the human dynamic thing. We've got a lot of duality, a lot of dynamics, a lot of happening going on.
Okay, let's shift gears a little bit. So I opened the show up with saying that your book is actually now #2 on Amazon. Talk about your book, please, and where can we find it?
Sure, and talk about peaks and valleys. It ebbed,
right.
Or no, it flowed to #2 Saturday. I haven't looked lately. I know it was 5th, 6th. I have a feeling it could be 100th by now, or 10th or 3rd. Who knows?
Or #1.
Or #1. Yeah, about that. But it almost sounds better not to be a #1 international or Amazon bestseller. I like the idea of a number. Nobody runs around and says #2 Amazon bestseller. I want to be that guy. Yeah, leave room for #1. You know, tennis, that example we talked about. So Saturday it hit #2. I was right behind Sonia Chiquette, who's been around a long time, and I guess she does angels too. But I was ahead of Kyle Gray, who's kind of a semi-famous Hay House guy, I think out of England. I'm mixed on that. But Hollywood medium Tyler Henry, who I love, watch his shows. He's cool. He does all the work for you. You just pose your questions. I think he has a 15-year waiting list or 15,000 people. So he's tied up, and he's so expending his own energy to help people. He's a giver, and he's amazing. But my book's short. It's a 15, 25-minute read. It's under $5. I think it's $4.99. It's been out since 2014. It's written by angels, if you can allow for that. And just for like 30 seconds, it's a 1-page forward, a 1-page intro, 5 pages how to listen to angels, maybe 3 on meeting the 7 angels you get to meet, including Archangel Michael. I have photos of angels, so I'm really off the hook. There's an appendix. How is it possible there could be angels now for humanity? And it's answered brilliantly. It helps you park it a little, you know, the judgy McJudgerson side, the side that wants to do disbelief or no way, Jose, it's not possible. There's a little appendix for all of us in there. And then that epilogue by Dale, I think that's fantastic. Check it out on my website or one of my social media accounts on my website. You can find it. I think I posted that whole epilogue. It's 4 pages. So it is angel writing. If you're in a bad mood, you won't be able to read it. If you're in a good mood, you'll blow right through. And I think a few of the reviews have talked about how it's almost like a daily thing you could do to get a reminder to be in your heart. And I want to use this as a parallel to remember, pick a favorite song of yours, but it's not right now. It's a song you don't listen to. The song never changed. It's an amazing song. Maybe you have to wait 20 years before you can go back to it and allow for it to be one of your favorite songs again. I've just done that with like Unforgettable Fire by U2, and that's a long time ago. Or In God's Country with those guitars and everything else. I've been cranking it just before the show on the run. The brain has a way of sizing up stuff. You could reject me just out of hand. You can reject anybody else. You can reject yourself. That's what we're talking about here. Accept, accept, accept. And at the end of the day, at some point you learn it's not about accepting or rejecting. It's not about gaining or losing anything. Move past seeing the negative. That's the deepest thought of today. There's a consciousness curve, just like I helped a gajillion different people in New York and elsewhere around the world do public relations. Everybody was somewhere on the curve, and with some tips, you can move up the curve. And in this, we're talking about meeting some angels or on your own. You don't have to meet angels, just allow the universe to come in indirectly, appreciate and allow, and you can feel it, but you slide up the curve of consciousness to more love, only 7% extra of moments a week. What is that, 4 hours a week or something? I don't have a calculator. But so you just allow. And it just means a smoother path ahead, a smoother interaction with each moment. And for athletes, dancers, actors, boy, is that going to make a difference for you. You're going to park a lot of the pressures that come from interacting with others around you. Suddenly you're going to be a beacon of light. Your presence goes out 60 feet instead of 20. Even the grumpy ones, and there's those who are working too hard like Navy SEALs that should relax a little because they think the hard way is the only way. You're going to have an unofficial impact on them because of your self-love. You're going to loosen them up a little. They might actually smile twice a week more. And you'll notice people on the street waving hi to you from 100 feet out. You're crossing the street and someone's already going out of the way to open the door for you, and it doesn't make sense to you because your consciousness is in your ball of energy, extending out beyond anything you've allowed for. You might even be in a bad mood, but because overall you're flowing and you're locked on the episode last night, you couldn't believe that the series ended the way it did. You're thinking about how your sports team lost and you're upset. And yet someone can pick up on the greater you and they can't help themselves. They're tripping over the curb and it's a guy to run and open the coffee shop door and is saying a purposeful good morning and doesn't know why he's doing it. So there's something to all this that we can't measure or grasp, but I think I'm touching on enough today that hopefully this resonates, especially for the performers out there, the ones who want a little more. And I really try to step out of the way so a person begins to just own everything on their own through their heart so they can be all they can be. We'll do that army thing. And they can just have a little more fun, a little more zip, a little more sparkle, like Audrey Hepburn.
Oh, this is so great. Not only reaching 20 feet, but 60 feet and getting the grumpy ones and the ones that don't really want to be there, but yet they know deep down in their heart that they're going to take something away from the performance. Yes. Okay. Time to, where can we find you? How can people get in contact with you? How can they work with you? I noticed that you are literally on every social media outlet that's available at this current moment. So give us a lowdown.
One spot to stop and shop. How about just my website?
Yes.
My full name, Michael, M-I-C-H-A-E-L, André, like that cheap champagne, but we won't call it cheap champagne. And Ford, like the trucker car. So michaelandreford.com. And then all the social media is there. There's 75 plus testimonials, videos, book reviews, from some really notable, fun, even artistic folks, photographs of angels. Just check it out. Historical photos, hey, let's get more comfortable. Historical photo of Geronimo or Audrey Hepburn or Sai Baba, the one from India from 100 plus years ago. Take a hard look for somebody who's gutsy out there at those photos. Let Geronimo, Audrey, or Sai Baba move in the photo for 1/10 of a second and you'll meet your own ego. Your brain's going to say, I didn't just see Audrey wink at me or an eyebrow goes up or a smile. Your heart's going to be saying, ooh, pretty. And there's the rub. And that's the opportunity. It's not my problem is, which is how we all operate when anything happens, or my situation is, or how you tell your story. The second you're in your heart, you're like, ooh, this is my opportunity for growth. And that is the last thing any of us want to say when we just got a parking ticket. Exactly.
It's that, yeah. But that's well, I think that's the beauty, the perspective of it, right? And that's where we all have our biggest opportunity, because we get to lean into the problems so often that we forget to focus on the solutions.
Yeah. And you bring in that wind or the air or the consciousness, and it's back to the perspective changes anything, or when you change the way you look at something, everything you look at changes. Wayne Dyer and some other people said that.
Beautiful. Okay, last but not least, let's assume that your 16-year-old self would actually sit down with you today and take in a few nuggets that you want to give him. What would that be?
My 16-year-old self was like a deer in 400 million headlights. I mean, I'm that deer now minus 200,000 headlights. I am the last guy to ask this of, but I would just say, hey, everything's okay. You have a unique life path. And even one way or the other, forces are out there to kind of kick your butt and kind of help you down the chute. Or if it's a giant slalom course, let's mention downhill skiing, racing here. You've got certain gates you're going to hit no matter what in life. That's the job of your invisible coaches and cheerleaders. So one thing, don't take anything too seriously. Don't take yourself. Don't take your success. Don't take your thinking. Don't take what you know, because most knowing precludes possibility. Look at the scientific world. Wait 2 weeks and what we knew 1 week is gone and not valid anymore. If you really want to know something, ask an angel, a light being, a fairy, Mary, Jesus, Muhammad, Buddha. Go direct, talk to the universe, do some listening, write down the answers. 9 hours, 48 pages is the record. For some reason, Australians are the lead for all of this. They're just ready to go. It doesn't mean people from Canada. That's another top one. And also India. They just, if India is a big country, it's 40 countries really in one. At least 3 or 4 of those countries inside of India, and maybe more, that portion of India is just ready to go. They're ready to listen. This is listening. And I'll do one Winnie the Pooh quote to kind of close it out. And that's Winnie the Pooh is my favorite because, I'm still digesting Winnie the Pooh. He talks about the big journey, and you can tell it's happening when someone's wearing big boots. We don't even need the big boots is what I came up with today on the run. But the quote is this: everyone talks to animals. No one listens. And so we're not really talking about animals. We're talking about we all outbound. We tell our stories, we pray, or we have our wishes, or we say, here's our lack, my problem is. None of us want to give ourselves the opportunity to just fix it and move on and have a great life and grow. It's back to my opportunity for growth is you only have to learn how to get to here. And guess what you're doing every day? You're here all the time, but you won't give yourself credit. That's the rub with self-love. Self-love is starting to appreciate all, allow for all, share joy, be joy. 1 + 1 = 111.
Oh my gosh. Michael, thank you so much. That was enlightening and joyful. And I really hope that, well, I think you all have to go back over and over and over again to really find the nuggets that you put out today, and to tap really truly into your energy too. It's like all you have to do is soak it up, put a straw in it, and all you have to do is soak it up. So share this, share your biggest takeaway of this interview on wherever you're active on social media, and go check him out on his website and go buy the book. It's worth more than what you're ever going to invest. So we are sending you so much love. Thank you for tuning in. Till later. Thank you so much for listening. If this message resonates with you, please pass it on to someone who needs to hear this right now. And if you like what you've heard, your feedback will go a very long way. If you just take 30 seconds and leave me a 5-star review, that would mean the world to me. Till next time, point at yourself to rise to all that you are capable of.